Let's begin with a question that shakes your soul. How do you know when the man you love has already left the relationship, even if he still shares your bed? Because infidelity doesn't start in the sheets. It starts long before that, in the silence, in the distance, in the shift of energy that every woman feels, even if she can't yet prove it. Thousands of women around the world share a private fear they don't dare speak out loud. I think he's with someone else, but I'm afraid to know the truth. You feel something is off. He pulls away when you touch him. He leaves the room when his phone buzzes. He acts irritated when you ask simple questions. Questions you have every right to ask. And yet, he calls you paranoid. He says you're overthinking. He says you're imagining things. Let me tell you something. Intuition is the part of your soul that speaks in silence, Carl. Jung believed that the unconscious always knows the truth long before the conscious mind can accept it. Women don't suspect infidelity, they sense it, because while men cheat with their bodies, women detect with their souls. Maybe you've asked him, "Are you seeing someone else?" And instead of answering, he turns it around. "Why are you always so insecure?" Listen closely. Deflection is the language of guilt. A faithful man reassures. A guilty man attacks. But here is where the emotional torture begins. He doesn't confess, and he doesn't deny. He simply keeps you in a state of confusion, where you're questioning yourself more than you're questioning him. And slowly, painfully, you begin to doubt your own reality. That is the psychological damage of betrayal. Not the act itself, but the gaslighting. A strange shift begins. A few months ago, he would reach for you in bed. Now when you walk toward him, he flinches, as if your touch is a burden. He used to notice everything when your hair was different, when you wore a new color, when you smiled. Now, nothing. Your presence used to excite him. Now it annoys him, and that's when it hits you. He's giving someone else what you've been starving for: attention, interest, curiosity, desire. Women don't need physical evidence. They feel the absence of emotional intimacy long before the body strays. The emotional cheating always comes first. Then the routine changes. He becomes unpredictable. Suddenly he's late for work. Suddenly he's working overtime. Suddenly his phone has a password he never had before. He turns the screen away when he texts. He takes calls. Outside, he places his phone face down, and every single time, these are not coincidences. Men protect what they're afraid to lose. If he's guarding his phone harder than he protects your heart, something has already shifted. But here's the truth nobody tells you. Men don't cheat because of a lack of sex. They cheat because of a lack of ego feeding. They cheat when they feel unnoticed, unimportant, unappreciated, or emotionally unfulfilled. Not because of you, Saul, but because of their own emptiness. Infidelity is not a reflection of your worth. It's a reflection of his lack of emotional maturity. And here's the terrifying part. Sometimes he doesn't cheat because he's unhappy in the relationship, but because he's unhappy with himself. You start changing. Two, you used to trust him. Now you analyze every detail. You used to feel safe. Now you feel like a stranger in your own home. You start walking on eggshells, not because of what he says, but because of what he doesn't. Say the silence hurts more than the argument. You notice he avoids eye contact. He sleeps on the edge of the bed. He showers immediately when he gets home. You don't recognize the man in front of you, and you don't recognize yourself. Either you become the investigator, the detective, the self-doubter. You scroll through his texts when he's asleep. You check receipts, you monitor where he goes. It's not who you are, it's who betrayal is turning you into, and all the while, he makes you feel like you're the problem. Jung said that relationships are mirrors. When someone betrays you, it reflects not only their shadow, but the parts of you that allowed emotional starvation in the first place. You stop asking, "Is he cheating?" And you start asking, "Why am I staying?" Because here's the brutal truth. You don't fear losing him. You fear losing the version of yourself that existed before the hurt. A woman's deepest heartbreak isn't discovering infidelity. It's discovering how easily she abandoned herself trying to hold on to someone else. Let me ask you something. Is your heart whispering the truth? Do you find yourself waking up at 2 a.m. with a knot in your chest? Do you feel a sudden panic when his phone vibrates? Do you feel invisible when you're standing right next to him? If your instincts are screaming, they're not lying. The body reacts before the brain rationalizes. The soul feels what the mind tries to deny. And the truth is, if you're watching this, you're not here because you think something is wrong. You're here because you know something is wrong. You just need someone to tell you. You're not crazy. You're not insecure. You're not imagining it. You're finally seeing what your heart has been trying to ignore, and that realization is the beginning of your power. Because sometimes, the truth doesn't set you free. It gives you permission to free yourself, and in the next section, we're going to break down the exact psychological signs, the patterns and behaviors unfaithful husbands all display, so you can stop doubting yourself and start seeing clearly. When you understand the truth, you stop reacting emotionally, you start responding powerfully. You know what's strange. A woman can feel the truth long before she sees it. A man may lie with words, but a woman reads the shift in his energy. Carl Jung believed that the unconscious mind reveals itself through behavior, not language. So while he's busy giving excuses, his actions expose a story he can't hide. The first sign shows up in the emotional space between you. Not the kind of distance that follows an argument, but the kind that grows silently. It starts with a change in how he looks at you. The warmth that once lived in his eyes becomes guarded, distant, almost guilty. He used to look at you with familiarity. Now he looks at you the way a stranger looks at someone they're afraid will figure them out. Suddenly, conversations feel like negotiations. You ask him what's wrong, he says he's tired. You ask about his day, he says, nothing to tell. You try to connect emotionally, but he seems irritated, like your presence is interrupting something more important. There is tension where there used to be comfort, and you find yourself overanalyzing every sigh, every tone shift, every silence. Not because you're paranoid, but because you can feel something is off. His soul is no longer facing you. Watch him when he comes home. There's a different kind of restlessness in him. He moves differently. He doesn't settle into the space the way he used to. He walks in with his phone attached to his hand, not to check emails, but to protect whatever is on it. He shields it the way someone protects a secret. His phone used to be casually tossed on the counter, the sofa, the nightstand. Now it stays glued to him like a second skin. He takes it to the bathroom. He sleeps with it under his pillow. He flinches when you reach near it. He guards it more fiercely than he protects your heart. The phone becomes a symbol of distance, a device of silence, a wall. Sometimes it's not even the messages he hides, but the emotions he resists showing. He deletes texts, clears calls, erases history not because he respects the other woman, but because he fears losing his comfortable life. Cheating men don't protect their affair partner. They protect their access to both women. You notice he has a new pattern around his appearance too. Not casual grooming, not basic hygiene, sudden vanity. He starts dressing better for work. He buys new cologne and claims it was on sale. He stands in the mirror longer, and there's a new spark of ego in his posture. Affairs awaken a man's ego the same way motherhood awakens a woman's intuition. When a man feels desired by someone new, he becomes a teenager again. Overconfident, careless, reckless. He may not realize you're watching, but you are. You pick up on every inconsistency. You catch him lying about trivial details first. Where he had lunch, who he met, what time he left. They aren't even significant stories, but liars don't lie because of the importance of the subject. They lie to maintain control. Infidelity lives in the space between the truth and what he allows you to know. Another sign is how he reacts when you bring up anything emotional. The man who once confided in you now becomes defensive when you ask simple questions. He suddenly plays victim. You ask, why don't we spend time together anymore? And he replies, you're always complaining. You say, I miss us. And he snaps, nothing I do is enough for you. He weaponizes your vulnerability. This is the moment betrayal turns into psychological warfare. When he was faithful, he fought for the relationship. Now that he's emotionally elsewhere, he fights against the relationship. And instead of saying, I'm losing interest, he accuses you of being too much, too emotional, too sensitive, too demanding. The truth is, he doesn't want to feel responsible anymore. The new woman, the affair partner, requires no accountability. She sees only the highlight reel of who he wants to be. She gets the fantasy. You carry the reality. He becomes a guest in your home, present in body, absent in soul. He sits next to you on the couch, but his attention lives in his phone. His mind is somewhere else, with someone else. He's physically there, emotionally gone, and you feel the emptiness in every silent dinner, every cold goodnight, every morning where he leaves before you wake. There's another painful change that many women notice but don't talk about. Intimacy feels different. Mechanical, rushed, detached. It's not making love anymore. It's obligation, guilt release, distraction. Sometimes he stops touching you altogether. Other times he suddenly becomes overly sexual, trying new things, acting differently, treating your body like it's unfamiliar. That shift in intimacy isn't passion. It's comparison. But the deepest pain isn't the cheating itself. It's when he starts punishing you for what he's doing wrong. He becomes irritable, critical, unpredictable. He picks fights so he can leave angry and disappear. He creates distance to justify emotional escape. He subtly conditions you to stop asking questions so he can keep hiding. You begin to shrink yourself. You stop expressing your needs to keep the peace. You stop asking where he's going because you already know the answer won't be the truth. You stop telling him how you feel because you're tired of being dismissed as dramatic. In this stage, you don't need proof of infidelity. You need proof that you're not losing your mind. But here's the painful revelation. You're not fighting for your husband. You're fighting for the man he used to be. The man who laughed with you, the man who touched you tenderly. The man who planned a future with you. The man who looked at you like you were his world. It's not that you can't leave. It's that you're grieving someone who's still alive. Carl Jung taught that the hardest truths are the ones that force us to confront our own shadow. This moment, this realization that something is painfully wrong, is not about watching your husband change. It's about watching yourself break into two versions, the woman who knows the truth and the woman who's terrified of it. You're not imagining what you feel. The silence speaks. The distance speaks. The changed energy screams. Infidelity doesn't start in the bedroom. It starts the moment a man begins leaving, emotionally while still occupying the space physically. And now, in the final section, you will learn what to do with this truth. There comes a moment when every woman realizes something devastating. You cannot love a man into loyalty. You cannot give enough, forgive enough, or sacrifice enough to make a man who has already emotionally left suddenly return to the relationship with gratitude. Loyalty is a decision of character, not convenience. When you suspect infidelity, the deepest pain is not that he may be sleeping with another woman. The deepest pain is the internal battle you silently fight, the battle between what your body knows and what your heart doesn't want to admit. A man's betrayal alters your world, but it also forces you to meet the version of yourself you never knew existed. Because before this moment, you believed that love means endurance, that marriage means patience, that commitment means holding on through anything. But the truth, the painful, liberating truth, is that not all battles are meant to be won. Some are meant to be walked away from. You are not weak for wanting to believe him. You are not foolish for trying to make things work. You are not dramatic for asking for honesty. You are human. And what you're experiencing right now, the confusion, the anxiety, the sleepless nights, is not the result of insecurity. It's the result of betrayal. Your nervous system reacts because it senses the emotional abandonment before your mind accepts it. You wake up feeling hollow. Your stomach tightens when he leaves the house. You watch the clock, hoping he comes home early. You analyze his tone, his silence, his change in routine. You don't want proof, you want peace. Yet here is the hardest lesson of all. Peace doesn't come from knowing the truth. Peace comes from accepting it. Accepting that the man you built your life with may not have been the man you thought he was. Accepting that no amount of loyalty will make a disloyal man choose you. Accepting that sometimes the version of him that you loved exists only in your memories. Not in his reality, but here's what no one tells you. When a man cheats, it is not a reflection of your worth. It is a reflection of his emptiness. Cheaters don't cheat because they found someone better. They cheat because they are too emotionally immature to face their dissatisfaction, their insecurities, their lack of discipline, or their fear of vulnerability. They cheat because the newness provides a temporary escape from their own unresolved relationship with themselves. Infidelity is not about attraction, it's about avoidance. Coward runs to distraction when he should run to accountability. A weak man chooses thrills when he should choose growth. A boy escapes responsibility. A real man turns toward it. Carl Jung wrote about the shadow self, the hidden parts of us we deny, suppress, or refuse to acknowledge. Infidelity awakens the shadow. It exposes the character underneath the mask. It reveals what kind of man he truly is when no one is watching, but it also reveals you to yourself. You start to see not only him clearly, but you see the strength you carried, the love you gave, the loyalty you lived, and somewhere deep within the pain, a realization forms. You were never hard to love. He was too weak to rise to the level of your heart. The pain begins to transform into clarity. The tears that once meant heartbreak now mean awakening. Because once a woman sees the truth, she cannot unsee it. Once a woman realizes the depth of her worth, she stops begging to be chosen. Infidelity forces a crossroads. You can keep pretending, keep holding on by your fingertips, keep sacrificing your peace one day at a time. Or you can choose yourself. You can choose your dignity. You can choose your future. You can choose your emotional freedom. Because the real betrayal is not that he lied. The real betrayal is every time you forced yourself to believe him. There is a version of you waiting on the other side of this, a woman who will look back and ask, why did I ever settle for crumbs when I deserved the feast? Someday, you will no longer feel the pain of this betrayal. You will feel gratitude for the lesson, because it woke you up, because it forced you into growth, because it was the moment you reclaimed yourself after years of shrinking to fit a relationship he stopped valuing. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing you no longer care where he is or who he's texting. You no longer search for signs or proof. You no longer chase clarity from someone who thrives in confusion. Instead, you stand in front of a mirror and finally see the woman who survived everything designed to break her. The woman who decided that betrayal was not her identity. The woman who rose, not because she was unbroken, but because she refused to stay broken. You will not heal by seeking answers from him. You will heal when you stop needing them, and that is when your power returns.